how your entire journey has been. So would love it if you could kind of tell us about how the different parts of your career and your journey have been till now.
Absolutely. Thank you. And yes, speak that over my life. I still want to be a national talk show host. That was my dream ever since I was a young girl in high school. I knew that I wanted to be a storyteller and to tell stories of impact. I came up with a 10-year plan. I was like, here's how I'm going to follow it and achieve my dream. Went to school at the University of Missouri, which has one of the best broadcast journalism programs in the nation. And absolutely loved it, but got to the end of my senior year and my capstone class was taught on the journalism of outrage the entire semester. I decided to make a left turn and started doing more video storytelling. And then from there ended up in marketing in senior living at a great company, and that eventually led me to sales. And there are a lot of ways you can make impacts with storytelling, no matter what field you're in.
And Rachel, through your journey, you've worked across multiple fields, but it's been like an intersection of senior care, it's been value-based care, and now there's a lot of AI that you're working with. And how do you see all of this working together?
So I have such a heart for senior living, and I love that the industry is always thinking about ways that we can be more innovative and serve our seniors better. And one of the ways that our industry is really leaning toward is value-based care. So what I like to think about as a healthcare person about what value-based care looks like is how do you increase your health span? So at the end of your life, you don't want to just live longer, but in a way that's like unhealthy or what you wouldn't prefer. But how do you live longer and increase that health span doing the things that really make your life worthwhile, like being able to travel to see your family or pick up your grandkids when they come. And that's really what I mean by looking at health span. And where AI comes in is thinking about how do we use AI to look at being more scientific with analytics and early predictors of how to get in front of some of those tragic events that we know sometimes shortens our life, like having falls, things of that nature. So that's really where I see the intersection of all of that come together.
Across the spectrum, where have you seen technology really play an important role?
So anyone who is in senior living is in senior living because they have a heart for seniors. So many of us have a personal story. I know for me, it was my grandparents and watching them go through their senior living journey and wanting something better for them. So many of us are like that. We want a better way for our seniors, and having that one-to-one human connection is really what drives our purpose of what we're doing. But that being said, how do we spend more time having that human connection, having technology that's going to make us more efficient, be able to take the routine tasks that are taking us away from our true purpose and allowing us more time to actually spend with the residents, to give them the best care, and using the technology to take off some of those routine tasks.
What are the routine tasks that you're seeing done well? Like I know you work with Abby, your AI agent, and how has that been helping people?
Abby is our AI receptionist. So what she does is she handles all those overflow calls that are coming in or after hour calls, weekend calls, and she's able to actually connect with a human. Almost if you want to think like if you've ever talked with a ChatGPT voice, like it's very conversational and she's able to answer questions that people may have and actually schedule appointments directly within your systems. So what I love about that and what you asked too about, how do we maintain that human connection? Well, anyone who is typically having to answer those phones, answer the same questions over and over again, that's time being taken away from the people right in front of them that they want to connect with and give a great experience. So having Abby on the line to still give those callers that incredible first impression allows the team to be freed up to focus on just being with the person in front of them.
But Rachel, when people are calling the reception and they're trying to make a a decision about, let's say, a senior care facility, are they happy speaking to an AI agent? And again, do you feel that may be a moment where people do need a human connect?
The first thing I would say is take a look at your current answer rate today, especially for after hours and weekends. How many
Yeah,
of
it'll
those
be
calls coming
bad.
in are you actually answering? So,
Right.
would you rather have someone talk with an AI attendant who's able to give them the information they need, or would you rather have them not be answered at all? The worst
Right.
experience is not being answered at all. So I would start there. But then the second piece is that we did run the numbers on this, and I will be 100% honest that we're not in senior living yet. I'm sure we will go there. Right now, we're looking at some other areas like in dental and some other verticals. But what we found in our numbers is that 81% of people are able to continue to have that conversation with Abby. So you're
Oh,
still
that's
going to get
fantastic.
yeah, you're still going to get some people that are like, I'm not going to talk to AI. But the world is changing. AI
That's true.
is here. It is
Right.
only a matter of time. That 81% is the worst it's ever going to be. It's just going to keep getting better because whether we want to or not, this AI is going to continue evolving.
One quick question, like in your time in senior care again, and from your storytelling experience, is there any story that you remember, like where you really saw some technology, some staffing, that whole interaction really changing someone's life?
Yeah, so there are so many stories, but one thing that really stands out to me, again, through my own experiences, knowing that my grandma, she did end up having a fall when she was in senior living. And being in the industry, unfortunately, I knew that that fall would probably be the start of the end of her journey. Fortunately, the community at the time did not have any sort of fall technology in place. My Grammy ended up, not being able to have someone come help her for unfortunately a while. So what I would say is what stuck out to me is in that moment, I realized how important all of this tech and all of us as an industry working together to
Right.
provide better care for our seniors. Because if that community would have had something like fall protection in place, which is going to help with value-based care, then maybe they would have caught that fall before it happened,
Hmm.
or they would have been able to see right away that she had fallen and could have come immediately to help her, and maybe her story would have been different.
I can
Yeah,
understand.
there's a doctor. His name is Peter Attia, and he's a great person to follow. He focuses on longevity, and he had a stat, and forgive me if this is not exactly correct, but I want to say it's like 60% of seniors, if they break a hip or they unfortunately pass away within that year because of what you talked about, where if you're having something catastrophic like a fall, what happens is you may start to get better, but because you're older and you're a little bit more frail, you never actually recover to where you were before. And
Yes.
so then as more and more things start to happen, it just compounds to where eventually it's this downward spiral that you can't come back from.
Okay, so I just want to change tracks for a bit and move to your podcast, which you do, right? Which is
Yeah,
Female
thank you.
Fridays.
Yeah. So I was fortunate enough to attend Argentum about 4 years ago, and I went to one of the women in leadership sessions. I do storytelling. I like to interview. That's really the
Yeah.
only thing that I'm very good at. So I was like, okay, I want to start interviewing these women. And what I realized is that if women are able to share the vulnerabilities behind what it really takes to be a leader, then other women will see themselves in her story and say, she's not perfect. She made mistakes. She had bumps along the way and she's still figuring it out, but
Right.
she's still at that level. And if she can do it, then
So
I
can I.
can too.
Right.
Exactly. And that is my whole goal. I really want to elevate women's voices to rise up to their full potential, have more women in the C-suite. We need more female leaders. Yeah, I recently interviewed someone just recently, if you want to look at it, it's Katie Grant. She recently had a traumatic brain injury and she talks about how she overcame that. But what she said is that she had to grieve the version of herself before the brain injury. And now she's this new person. And I think that brain injury is obviously extremely traumatic. It's literally labeled a traumatic brain injury.
Right.
But even if we haven't gone through something like that, we all have been through something in our
Some
life
trauma.
that has rocked us to our core. And so often we almost feel like guilty. Like, how come I can't go back to who I was before this traumatic event happened? But I think there's a beautiful lesson in learning how to accept this new version of yourself and be willing to grow in whatever direction you're going to next.
Absolutely. In the whole staffing shortage, etc., that we discuss in the US, with an aging population, with value based care, and therefore proactive care becoming very important. And let's say countries like India or other economies that have a large young population with a lot of caregiving population as well, right? Like we have a lot of nurses, we have a lot of doctors. There are some things which are great about the US healthcare ecosystem, but then we also have much easier access to doctors, much easier access to uh, care here in India. But how do you think these two worlds can also collaborate, right? Because as Circle Health today, we provide technology and services. So, like a holistic solution to people to be able to run their value based Medicare reimbursement programs. But what's your perspective on how these two worlds, one is a aging world with shortage of caregiving staff, and another is like young population with a lot of caregivers, but maybe they're not in the same continent, and therefore there's a technology has to come into play for this balance to be able to help each other out. And where does technology and AI also play a role in all of this? If you have a perspective on that, would love to hear from you.
Sure. I'll answer first for how we can work better together and then talk through maybe predictions of how
Yes.
I think AI can help with that.
Yeah.
So, first, we have to think of solving this problem of we have a wave of seniors coming. We know that there's work we need to do.
Absolutely.
We cannot solve that alone. None of us can solve that alone. If you are a senior living operator, you can't solve it alone. If you are a vendor, you cannot solve it alone. If you are from the United States, you cannot solve it alone. If you're from India, right? And
Right.
so, what I love about our industry is that we are starting to come together. We're working with each other. Vendors are working with each other. Operators are working with each other to solve this problem together. But to your point, it's bigger than just one country, right? We need to look outside to other countries to see how others are doing it and see how we can adopt from their practices to be better. We can't just stay in our bubble. I think we have to be able to expand our options in our minds. And so my answer to that would be like, get curious and work together and see how we can improve and go from there and collaborate, because there's a lot of lessons that we can learn.
And anything you're seeing there that's interesting, like how are countries collaborating or how are different parts of the world collaborating on this? Is there anything interesting that you're seeing happening?
So I don't know, but now I'm realizing I need to get curious and see what that looks like. I know
Right.
of some operators I know who have gone to other countries to look at how they do memory care. Memory
Ah,
care in
okay.
other countries are like really, really awesome. They whole memory care villages. But I don't know. And I'm okay to say I don't know, but you've made me
No,
curious
that's
to look into it more.
great. And on how do you think AI is going to really innovate on what parts of the entire care spectrum, and what would be your
Yeah.
predictions for the future there?
Okay, so I will give you my prediction. This is not so much on the care side, but this is truly where I already see the tech going, and I think it will continue to go.
Okay.
So, my prediction is that we will all have our own personal AI assistant. And what that assistant will do is talk to the other AIs. So think senior living communities. And instead of all of these humans going in, calling, searching around for different community options, it's actually going to be AIs talking with
Talking to
other
each other?
AIs and providing the best match. I
Mm.
think that that is where the future is going. We're already seeing the AI technology heading that way by saying, hey, here's a summary of everything you have going on this weekend. Here's what happened while you were away. A smart, personalized personal assistant is coming. And I think that that will truly disrupt how people search for senior living.
Wow, that'll be incredible, right?
I honestly really think that will happen. We'll find out like what, 5 years from now? It's moving so fast.